This is Hadley, La Gringa in Riverside, California, and La Chapina is in Chapinalandia.
Yes, I'm in Chapilandia, in Canoas, to be exact, in my little own little jungle.
Well, today is July 17th, 2024. We'll start with the Biden announcement that was made 30 days ago. Today, the USCIS has given us more information about the Parole in Place program, or family unity, or prevent family separation. I've heard it different ways. To start moving forward for spouses of U.S. citizens, to allow them to go on a parole in place and have 3 years of parole, and then hopefully be able to adjust. And we're excited because there are 3 requirements to apply for parole in place. First, to prove that you're married as of June 17th, 2024. Second, you're married to a U.S. citizen.
U.S.
Third, that you've
citizen.
been in the U.S. since June 17th, 2014. But what we're very happy to see is the removal of language that in the Biden announcement stated we had to prove that the applicant has the right to adjust. So the reason why that removal of that language is exciting for us is because it appears that people who have bars, like the permanent bar, can get the parole in place and the 3-year work authorization, which is amazing. So it provides.
Yeah, that's
Zayra,
gonna
how
help
many?
even more people now.
Yeah. How many people have we met with over the years that had that problem?
Hundreds, that I got thousands that we
Yeah.
met, that we were like, sorry, we can't help you because you have a re-entry to the U.S. and since 1997 they don't allow you to adjust through a family petition. So it's been many cases that we unfortunately had to say we can't help you because of that, and this is going to be a huge help for them to be able to do that.
And it's also, like you were saying, we had a meeting earlier that people may already be filing waivers. It might even be close to the end. And this is still worth it because removes the need to go to Juarez, spend the money, stay there, a week, and the anxiety that our clients face when they go down there. We've had very successful cases in Juarez. People are getting approved. We're able to determine if they have permanent bars in advance and tell them, don't go. But
before they leave.
Yeah, before they leave. And now the people with permanent bars, at minimum, can get the work authorization and social security number. And I think it's a game changer for those people. And who knows what will happen in the future for them. Maybe they'll be able to extend it. But we were also talking, and I know you're going to explain everything in Spanish, how important it is to use an attorney to file this.
Experienced attorney.
Yeah, experienced attorney. And American Immigration Lawyers Association is now recommending that when we start cases now for the August 19th filing date, we still need to let everybody know and make sure they know it's not available yet. Some of the parts of the parole in place are still unknown, like the filing fee. We're guessing that it's going to be $715 based on the current parole in place for military spouses and parents. But there's still unknown parts of parole in place. And an experienced attorney can determine your eligibility, and if you have a permanent bar. And anybody that's not an experienced attorney or BI accredited representative cannot file these cases. Anybody who files these cases that are not licensed are breaking the law. It's criminal activity. And like you were saying, Zayra, what were you saying about people saying, can I file with a notario? It's cheaper.
Yeah, we have actually current clients who need a new process, and yeah, obviously we, give them the proper, legal fees and give them discounts and whatever needs to be done in order for them to be able to proceed with these type of cases. They find somebody cheaper, which means a notario who's a criminal, and they say, oh, somebody's willing to give me to do this same process for me for $500 instead of how much you're gonna charge me. And we're like, why are you expecting us to say yes, go ahead and pay a criminal $500 to do this case for you, which is gonna cost you like 5 times more, because they're not gonna be able to do the process properly. They don't know your case, they don't know what they're doing, they're criminals, they don't know the law. And so it's just upsetting. But then, you're like, why are you trying to find somebody cheaper to do this process when we're doing your case already? You know what we're capable of. We're a law firm, and then they still manage to come up with these ideas of, let me figure something else, let me try to find somebody cheaper. Y lo barato sale caro, like I've told Hadley before, this saying
It's
that we
more
have in
expensive.
Spanish.
Thank you.
Yes, and our community, our immigrant community, knows how this works, and knows that by paying somebody who to do cheaper work, they ended up paying like 3 times more than they supposed to, because they spend this amount of money, all this time wasted. The case most likely is going to be denied, and they have to come back to us and say, oh, they didn't help me, they screwed up my case, now can you help me? So
Yeah,
it's just,
and I was telling you earlier, I just met with a girl who met an attorney, and there are all these red
this sounds
flags.
like a
Red
joke.
flags. I know. He said, "Oh, I'll do your case for $300," and she was like, "Oh, that's wonderful. Are you an attorney?" "Yes, I'm an attorney." "Well, okay. Can I come to your office?" "Oh, well, let's meet in this bar." I mean, first of all, the fact that he said he would do it for $300 was a red flag. Number
Yeah.
two, let's meet in a bar. Red flag. Third red flag. Can I have a beer? I'm going to drink a beer while we talk. Red flag. He doesn't have an office. Red flag. And she gave him her entire file. And now she's here, really upset, really nervous, asking me to help her get her file back. And I looked him up, and he's disbarred, and he's probably going to ignore me in anything that I request from him, because he doesn't want us to have proof that he's still taking money for clients, and he's been
Practicing
disbarred.
law.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we know it's a difficult environment with attorneys, but the experienced attorneys, and we know them, basically all of them in the Inland Empire, they have offices, they have their degrees. You can see my degrees behind me. I've been admitted to multiple bars, that allow me to practice law.
And the sad thing, Hadley, about it, le voy a obviamente platicar todo esto en español y lo que estamos hablando y lo importante que es de contratar a un abogado con experiencia para este tipo de casos. Miles de veces hemos aprendido la comunidad migrante en este país que lo barato sale caro, nos sale un ojo de la cara, como decimos, así que es tan importante que nos pongamos pilas, entendamos que estos procesos no son baratos. Si es barato es porque no está bien, no va a ser bien hecho. Entonces tenemos que entender eso. Después de tantos golpes de cara, como decimos, tenemos que entender que estos casos tienen que ser hechos con las personas indicadas, con un abogado you know, how many times have you heard of people even like being afraid of or scared of asking that person that claims to be an attorney, where is your degree? Where do you get it? They're even afraid to ask for the bar number because they think like, what if he gets upset or offended that I'm asking for these things? It's your time, it's your money, it's your life. You're supposed to ask these things. And so many times that we heard of people saying, oh, I was like scared. I was embarrassed. What if he got mad because I asked for these things? And we're like, no.
No.
I mean, it's
I'm
supposed to be on
impressed.
display.
I'm impressed when people ask me for my bar. It means they've done their research. Yeah.
Entonces, es tan importante que sepamos de lo importante que es de ir a un abogado con experiencia, porque platicábamos sobre lo que anunciaron, que estamos sumamente emocionados, que ya anunciaron que el 19 de agosto van a comenzar a aceptar este tipo de solicitudes para el Parole in Place, que es básicamente lo que ya existe antes, que es por las personas que tienen familiares en el servicio militar, le van a otorgar este beneficio de tener una entrada legal al país, por decir, para todas las personas que no entraron con permiso a este país, van a poder hacer un proceso adentro de Estados Unidos. Ya no se van a tener que preocupar por tener miedo de regresar a su país, qué tal me dejan allá, qué tal me niegan, qué tal esto, qué tal otro. No, ahora van a poder hacer el proceso aquí. Y anunciaron que hay 3 requisitos, 3 que son muy claros y muy fáciles, por decir. Estar casado con un ciudadano de este país, haber estado aquí, haberse casado antes de junio 17 del 2024 y estar aquí físicamente en el país, en Estados Unidos, por los últimos 10 años. Una de las cosas que nos emociona mucho, que anunciaron también, que dice que ya no indica que es necesario ser elegible para un ajuste migratorio. Eso realmente es muy importante porque sabemos que hay muchísimas personas en nuestra comunidad migrante que no pueden hacer un ajuste migratorio porque tienen una prohibición permanente. ¿Qué significa eso? Que entraron al país sin permiso, salieron y volvieron a entrar y más seguro que los detuvieron mientras estaban intentando cruzar. Entonces, por esa razón, tiene una prohibición permanente desde abril del 97 pasaron esta ley que no se permite hacer un proceso mediante una petición familiar si usted tiene una prohibición permanente. Entonces, esto lo quitaron de las instrucciones de lo que el presidente Biden anunció, así que es algo que nos emociona mucho porque durante 15, 14 años que hemos estado con Hadley juntas, hemos dicho una y otra vez a miles de personas que no pueden obtener un beneficio porque tienen una prohibición permanente. Igualmente, vuelvo a repetir, por favor, busquen a personas que estén capacitadas para hacer estos procesos. ¿Cuáles son estas personas? Abogados con experiencia. No quiero decir que también, como mencionó Hadley, hay personas que están, digamos, capacitados y aprobados para practicar la ley, que están por medio de la Agencia de Apelaciones de Inmigración, BIA, pues sus siglas en inglés, que hay personas que sí los capacitan y pueden hacer ciertas cosas, como un abogado, pero obviamente estas cosas es muy necesario que usted obtenga la representación de un abogado con experiencia que esté capacitado para obviamente explicarles todos estos procesos, y lo importante que es que vaya con este tipo de personas, no vaya con criminales como los notarios, que son personas que fueron capacitadas por 2 horas y que tienen un sello con su nombre y sienten el derecho de hacer este tipo de procesos por usted, que no lo tienen. Así que por favor, sigamos con practicando eso que decimos, ¿verdad? El dicho que tenemos en nuestra comunidad, que decimos, lo barato sale caro. Por favor, no pierda su tiempo y su dinero con personas que son criminales, que practican la ley ilegalmente y que no pueden ayudarle.
So, August 19th, that's the big day. And we're going to be able to file, and once somebody has parole in place approved, they're going to have the right to adjust status in the U.S. through their U.S. citizen spouse, which right now, if you go by our current processing time, takes 6 to 10 months to do that process inside the U.S. So it's big time for us. But the other thing,
Sí, así que va a ser.
go ahead.
Go ahead, Ali.
No, I'm going to change
Así
the
que
subject. Go ahead. You go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say, I also was gonna say, I was reading a lot of comments on social media, Hadley, about people that, they just, it's when you read them, you're like, really? Like a lot of people like, what's the big difference? I'm a US citizen. I was able to do this already for my spouse. And they're like, oh, the big difference is that, if your spouse was entered without permission, he had to go outside the US. And there's all these comments that make no sense, but I guess people, because they have a way to write things, they do it because they just say nonsense stuff and like get people confused. They're like, oh yeah, they were able to do this already. What's the big deal about this announcement? We're like, and obviously there's people that understand what's the big deal. They tell them, no, it is a big deal because they're not going to go out. The process will be much faster here. You're still, if you go out, you still have a chance, like Hadley explained. If you don't have an experienced attorney, you might have a chance to get stuck in your home country too. So it's just all these different. I mean, it's gonna prevent so much headaches to a lot of people. So it's so important to get the proper information, get the people that really understand what's going on, and get the proper information because, like I said, I read some comments of people that claim to know what's going on, and they're like, I'm a US citizen. My husband was already able to do this. So what are you talking about?
Well, Jose Luis, who was on the podcast before, told me I have at least 6 immigration attorneys in my family. And he's being facetious because all these people, that the 6 people he's talking about, of course, are not immigration attorneys. They just know, and because of what they went through, what their friends went through, who that person who made that comment clearly doesn't understand the distinction between entering legally and entering illegally. And immigration is all about the details. Like all the people will say, well, why can't they come in legally? Well,
yeah. Así que es muy importante que entiendan que esto es un gran beneficio para tantas personas porque a usted les va a permitir hacer el proceso adentro de Estados Unidos. Mucha gente dice, pero mi esposa es ciudadana, ella me pudo haber hecho este proceso igualmente. No, la gran diferencia es que si usted entró sin permiso a este país, usted tiene que salir a su país de origen, no puede hacer el proceso aquí adentro. Al menos, como dijimos, si usted entró con visa, entró con un permiso de entrada o lo que sea, estamos hablando de otra cosa, pero acá el chiste, como decimos, es de que las personas que entraron sin permiso a este país van a poder hacer el proceso adentro de Estados Unidos sin tener que preocuparse de salirse de su país de origen a una entrevista consular. Así que sí es una gran diferencia, entendamos eso.
so the other big event of this week has been the Republican National Convention, the RNC. Fernando, there's some bad.
I have a headache already.
Yeah. The RNC.
Yeah, but remember.
Remember what?
I was gonna say, but remember that all these things get omitted. So
okay.
All those sounds.
Yeah, the RNC is in Milwaukee, and they've got the platform up for the Republican Party, and they're talking about mass deportation. And the problem is that there's a Project 2025 that was written by the Heritage Foundation that outlines the mass deportation. And I've heard that former President Trump is not endorsing Project 2025, but then he is. I mean, he is and he isn't. And I realize a lot of this is theater, for votes, and we don't know what's going to happen. But I mean, listen to this. This is upsetting. The first proposal is eliminating benefits for unaccompanied minors and transferring them from the HHS, which is Health and Human Services, to Department of Homeland Security for large-scale detention. So
they're gonna detain minors. That's what they're saying.
Said mass detention in temporary structures for the unaccompanied minors. And the Health and Human Services usually provide social workers and medical care, and they have the infrastructure and the knowledge and experience to handle these situations. The Department of Homeland Security has an administrative arm, which is the USCIS, the enforcement, CBP, and ICE. I mean, and right now they're handing unaccompanied minors over to the HHS when they come in for processing to get shots, COVID tests, care, nutrition, all that. So, yeah, the second attack is on DACA. They want to eliminate DACA and proposed ending altogether family-based immigration. Chain migration.
Oh my God.
So, we've talked about this in another podcast. That's how Melania Trump's family became citizens. I mean, I know one of them.
And I'm sure a lot of all these Republicans are like even married to immigrants, or they have family members who are immigrants. Like just the governor of Texas. I mean, what? His wife is Hispanic. I will be like ashamed of like even like getting out of my house if I would be his wife.
Okay, then expanding ICE operations. This one's the scariest. Allowing ICE to go into sensitive zones to affect deportations, like schools, hospitals, and religious institutions.
I mean, this is gonna be like chaotic. Just imagine people like fearing to go to church, fearing to go to school, fearing to go. I mean,
authorizing ICE.
Oh my gosh, I even get teary-eyed.
Authorizing ICE to remove and detain immigration violators anywhere without warrants.
This is gonna be like a war zone. If this takes place, imagine like just randomly being on the street and you two. I mean, obviously they're gonna be like, racially profiling.
They're talking about creating a.
Or you look immigrant.
That's exactly one of the things that I read in another explanation, that profiling people who look like they're not from the United States. That's how people who are Asian were attacked, for a while during COVID, or people who look like they're from the Middle East are attacked. I mean,
that is very
maybe somebody
upsetting.
decides, my children look like they're immigrants, and they attack them. My granddaughter, they're creating a show me your papers style mandate. Is that where we want to live? Allowing the U.S. military to be at the border. Barring certain groups or nationalities from work and student visas. I know what that means. Muslim ban. Eliminating TPS and U visas. Reducing asylum. Authorizing law enforcement to be at the border.
This gets worse by the minute.
And penalizing jurisdictions that do not comply. So that's the outline of Project 2025. And it appears
I mean, if they're gonna be profiled like that, or they're gonna go back to their stupid claims about all these immigrants from other countries, then we're pretty much everybody has to leave the U.S. then, because what the U.S. it's all about immigrants. It was built by immigrants, so how are they gonna expect to get out? I mean, take all of us out, and then who's gonna be left? Just like the indigenous and stuff, because I mean they're going back to that point.
Yeah.
If they're claiming to be to just leave like the true Americans in this country, whatever they stupid claim
Yeah, I
is.
mean, what can we tell people to do now? Just, they've got to move forward with their processes. They've, this is a call to action. And we see people all the time that have been eligible maybe to adjust status for years. And they're like, I'm like, why
Yeah.
you could have been a green card holder for 15 years. What's going on here? And they're like, I was scared. I didn't have enough money. I was busy. It wasn't a priority, and then
I mean, this is very scary. Like, I was reading about it, but I was just like going through whatever people are talking about, but this is just like a lot of predominantly celebrities have been talking
yeah,
about this too. Like,
I
wake
know.
up, read about these things. Don't just think, oh, it's just whatever, one another whatever election time kind of thing. But no, like we have to get informed. We have to wake up. We have to really understand, because, like Hadley said, we have some people, some of our clients that are just, durmiendo en sus laureles, like we say, like just like sleeping and not taking action, like not, and this is very serious and scary. I mean, I have so many family members that this is gonna be, just devastating, and thinking about them just being picked up, and after being in the US for so many years, and they're just being like detained or deported or something, removed.
Yeah, I was talking.
Así que por favor, infórmense, no es algo de, no creo, es solo una táctica de los republicanos para asustarnos, o es una táctica porque vienen las elecciones y quieren que hagamos algo. No, por favor, tomen el tiempo para investigar este proyecto 2025, porque es algo realmente devastador y bastante, qué sé yo, es espantoso lo que quieren hacer. Y si nos dormimos en nuestros laureles, como decimos, pues muchas cosas negativas van a suceder a nuestra familia, a nuestros miembros de nuestra familia, a nosotros mismos. Así que por favor, no tomen esto como chiste, no piensen, ya me informé en TikTok o ya me informé en las redes sociales y no es tan grave como lo que dicen. No, léanlo por su propia cuenta y verán lo desastroso que esto sería para nuestra comunidad.
Yeah, it's a real thing. The Heritage Foundation. I encourage everybody to look it up. Yeah, Heritage
Heritage.
Foundation.
That's so
Yeah, they're
stupid,
using words. I saw
heritage.
this in another printout somebody gave me to talk about this. The language that they're using. They're comparing immigrants to rodents, dehumanizing immigrants as animals. They're not people. And the one that I heard, I think Trump saying in a rally the other day was they're poisoning the blood. So these are not things that Trump is just rambling off in a speech. These are terms that were calculated and put on the teleprompter, and it really sounds like historic things that cause world wars using the same kind of language.
Yeah, it sounds like, Hitler Germany. I mean,
Yeah.
I
I'm
mean,
trying to be careful and
I'm
not
just
political, because there are
speechless.
many Republicans that are true statesmen. Like Liz Cheney, I think is brilliant the way she's championed Republican values and stood up to the bullies and tried to expose, the the false the false lie the false lies is redundant, the false messages, and what happened on January 6th. She led that committee. So I don't think it's a Republican issue. I think it's the MAGA and Heritage Foundation and the messages that are being put out there. And it's also really upsetting that people want to hear that and are following that. And one thing I know that.
I mean, I can't believe that actually people like MAGAs and like all those cult followers, whatever. I mean, they have
Yeah.
friends. I mean, are they really that secluded that they will think like I'm the only white person
Hmm.
and we only deal with white people and we don't talk to anybody? I mean, where do they buy their groceries? Where do they go and eat? Who cooks the food for them? It's just ridiculous how they think like I mean they don't and they I mean it's good for them until it's not. I mean I just
Yeah, I
this
mean,
is very
everybody
upsetting.
in California probably knows one person who's undocumented very well, but doesn't know that they're undocumented.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about nationwide. I think it's becoming more widespread. But no, mass deportations, you're going to lose a friend for sure, maybe a family member.
Yeah, I mean knowing how now they're before it used to be very predominantly like
Yeah,
immigrant communities like in specific places, but now we're all like we hear people in like Oregon, like Ohio,
Carolinas,
like
Georgia. Yeah.
Kansas, and places that before, yeah, before it wasn't really common to hear. Mainly was like New York, California, Texas, but now it's like really they're going to like Wisconsin or something like that, and so it's
And we're
just
not advocating
you know
for illegal immigration. I mean, we know that the problem at the border is out of control, and that's caused by greed in Central America and South America. The people that are profiting off of bringing people to the border and literally pushing them in, um, and being told a false story about how they're going to get work authorization. And I was speaking to somebody who is on our accounting team who lives in Texas, and she told me where they are on the border, they often have to lock down the community because there's so much traffic coming across the border that they go into lockdowns. I mean, that is a community that's seriously affected, by that problem. And we totally agree that that needs to come under control and that people who are legitimate asylum seekers should seek entry. But there's a program for that, CBP1, where people can download an app. They have to be within 100 miles of the border. I believe it's 100 miles. Request an interview, go through that process. And the people who are already here and have been here for decades and have families and children, there is no legal way for them to immigrate except for these new programs that Biden's recommending, or to go to Juarez. I mean, it's very difficult, very, very difficult. And mass deportations is not the answer. I mean, who's going to pick the crops, right? Who's going to do that? I mean, I know in Alabama
I
they
mean
passed a
we
law
have
like this in Alabama, and they had to repeal it because all of the fruit was rotting on the vines. Is what I heard. I understood.
we don't have food on our tables. I wonder why.
Yeah, you can tell to the viewers.
Well, same thing they're doing in
Hmm.
Florida too. People are like leaving and stuff like that because of like very anti-immigrant laws. Por esa razón tenemos que ponernos las pilas y entender lo que está pasando e informarnos, porque igualmente sabemos que hay tanta gente que está en la frontera tratando de venir a Estados Unidos porque gracias a las personas, a los coyotes, a la gente que se beneficia de todas estas personas que están tratando de venir por una mejor vida, tenemos que entender que tienen que hacerlas, que tienen que informarse y hacer las cosas de la mejor forma para venir a este país, porque ya estamos viendo cada día más y más en diferentes estados obviamente de Estados Unidos, donde ya están poniendo muchísimas leyes, anti-inmigrante porque no nos quieren. Pero a la misma vez es una hipocresía porque ¿quién va a recoger las verduras? ¿Quién va a poner la comida? ¿Quién va a cortar los jardines? Hacer las construcciones masivas que se hacen en en este país. ¿Quién más? Nosotros. Pero obviamente para una cosa sí nos quieren, pero para otras cosas no. Entonces es muy importante que nos informemos, que hagamos las cosas de la mejor forma posible. No solo nos vengamos porque nos dicen que está la frontera abierta y qué bueno, vamos a entrar. Se tienen que informar. Está la aplicación que se llama CBP1, que es donde uno llena esa solicitud y le permiten venir a Estados Unidos ya formalmente procesado, como se le llama. Así que es muy importante que nos informemos. Esto realmente para mí es bastante preocupante, bastante, me conmociona mucho porque es algo bastante serio y triste lo que muchas personas tienen esa mentalidad de que los inmigrantes venimos a arruinar a este país, a tomar partido de este país cuando es lo opuesto. Así que por favor, infórmense y tomen las mejores decisiones que puedan relacionado con este tipo de procesos y de formas de venir a este
And that's all the
país.
time we have today. So please, everybody, visit our website at www.ilohb.com. It'll be in the chat here or in the comment. You'll be able to see where to go to learn more about our firm and about us. Thank you very much, and we will see you soon again with more immigration smack talk.
Adiós a todos. Se despide de ustedes Zayra Ivette Padilla, la Chapina.